Hello, I'm Thomas Haire, Chief Content Officer of the Performance Driven Marketing Institute, a not-for-profit trade association that serves companies in the performance and direct-to-consumer marketing world. Welcome to the second event in our 2025 Summer Seminar Series, today created by the PDMI's E-Commerce Council, titled Social Shopping Grows Up. We welcome all of you to today's event, PDMI members and non-members alike. If you're not a PDMI member but are attending today, we'd love to have you consider joining the association. There's no better way to support the mission of the PDMI than joining and sharing your voice in the direction of the industry. In the handouts tab of your control panel, you'll find our PDMI membership brochure. I urge you to download it, flip through it, and contact any of our team members should you desire more information. One more housekeeping note, the group will be addressing any questions from the audience at the end of today's session, but you don't have to wait to ask them. Utilize the questions tab on your control panel to type and send your question in. We'll be collecting them and we'll try to get to as many as possible in the final moments of the webinar. As more shopping integrations come to outlets like TikTok and YouTube, and live stream online shopping grows in interest to both consumers and performance brands, what must marketers know right now about how to successfully become part of this growing space? And what will be the next opportunities they should prepare for in the coming months? This group of experts here is ready to share their insights in this special 1-hour event. Right now, I should be welcoming our moderator, Lindsay Carnett of Marketing Maven and a member of our E-Commerce Council. However, Lindsay's power went out literally 2 minutes before we were going to start. She's hustling to try to get herself back reconnected to power. And in the meantime, I'm going to start as your host and welcome Lindsay in when she returns. I'm happy to welcome Marianne Bautista of TurboRank, Ariel Benz of BB3 Advertising, and John Petrocelli of Bulldog DM. Let's start with you, Ariel. Let's do some quick intros. Give us your 30-second elevator pitch about Ariel and BB3.
Sure thing. So I'm Ariel Benz. I'm the CEO and founder of BB3 Advertising. We are a response-driven growth agency, and we focus on challenger brands.
Wonderful, Marianne.
Hi, I'm Marianne Bautista. I am the co-founder of TurboRank, and we are a consultancy agency that supports brands and businesses to make YouTube a sales funnel.
Great, thank you, Marianne. John.
Hi everyone, I'm John Petrocelli. I'm the founder of Bulldog DM. We are the world's most experienced live stream studio, which means we provide all of the turnkey services and strategies that a client would need to really master their live video strategy. And a client for us could be a brand agency, a content creator, a platform, or it could be a group of all those entities kind of functioning in harmony together. And we are into our 13th year of doing this. I've been in live video for 20 years, which is almost as long as it's been around. So we've seen really almost every possible imaginable experience you could think of, and our industry at the timely conversation today has really shifted towards, A, I need to do this, but B, I need to show some sort of a call to action and a conversion. So looking forward to this conversation.
Wonderful, thank you for joining us. We have a really good roundtable discussion on some of these topics. Ariel is a real leader and thought leader in the TikTok shop area, Marianne with YouTube shop, and as we noted here, John has a great perspective on live, and his take on the market should be very valuable. So we're going to get started. I'm going to go first to you, Ariel, with a question about TikTok shop. What are the key factors that determine whether a product will or can sell successfully on TikTok shop today?
Yeah, so I think there's probably a few things to consider. One is the category. We see a few categories that excel on the platform, and that includes beauty, women's fashion, fitness, home goods. Sort of those are some of the top products that we see. Another piece of that is building out the affiliate program within the TikTok ecosystem. That is extremely key because essentially that's how you're going to get that content out there and people will be able to find your products. The other piece is price. So when you're looking at the product that you'd like to put on or the brand that you'd like to put on TikTok shop, understanding the price sensitivity of the platform, it is an impulse buy type sales approach. So we find that products under $50 tend to perform best, but we do have products that go up to $100. It is just slightly lower conversion rates, as you can imagine. And considering things like how to bundle in your products in new ways, interesting ways, so that you are not competing against the Amazon algorithm. Those are some of the key things that we talk through with clients when we're looking at a good fit for the platform.
Great. Marianne, I'm going to swing over to you. YouTube Shop, what makes it different from other social commerce platforms when it comes to buyer intent and product discovery?
Yes, absolutely. So YouTube is a marriage of a lot of different things. I often say it serves many masters. And what is unique about YouTube is that it is a search engine, it is an entertainment source, and it is a social media. It is the #2 search engine in the world, just behind its owner, Google. And so what you find there is that you get a lot of people who search high intent keywords to get more information about a product or service before they hit the buy button. And when you are well optimized to be discoverable, the brand is well optimized to be discoverable, and you've taken the step of achieving YouTube partner status, which is not that difficult to achieve, and integrating Shop, which there are some sort of criteria around that, but once you've done that, your video content can actually be shoppable, very similar to what Ariel is talking about within TikTok. The big difference between the two, though, is the fact that TikTok is short content. YouTube, the classic YouTube, you can have 30-minute videos there that are explainer videos, demonstration videos. You can go a lot longer and a lot deeper into the performance of the product or whatever it is you need to say about the product. So that's where it's really, really very different.
Right. Great. John, I'm going to swing it over to you. You have this long expertise in live shopping. What makes each of these platforms great, a great experience for the consumer?
The real driver in live shopping, which is still somewhat in its infancy, is really, it's two things. One is the conversion. So live shoppable video streams typically get around a 30% conversion, which is about 10x of normal e-commerce. And then the other thing to consider is the user behavior by younger consumers. So about 58% of millennials have used live social shopping and 80% of Gen Z. So this is becoming almost a standard. And the real value is these are collaborative participatory broadcasts where the brand, i.e. the seller, is connecting in real time, but authentically with the consumer. And these younger consumers certainly value that. And these experiences tend to lean into, I think Ariel mentioned, entertainment and a little bit of storytelling. And that's a great way to lead somebody to a purchase. And a lot of these shows have, reason for doing it. There's some sort of a special price or a deal if you act now. And these are also very compelling ways to discover a product. A platform, I think you're seeing TikTok very much leaning into live video. There were 8 million hours offered in 2024 alone, and there are now about 500,000 stores on the platform working across about 15 million influencers. And the top influencers are generating about 90% of their revenue from live stream. So the interesting thing is it's still early in this space, but the results are pretty overwhelming. I just saw a video from, I think, Gary Vaynerchuk saying that all retail, eventually retail will be live. The shops will convert on Monday through Friday into actual studios and then go back to retail centers on the weekend. And that will happen sometime, he believes, in the next 5 years. So a lot happening in space, but really it's that ability to convert the viewer and also attract these younger consumers.
That's great. I mean, really interesting. That exponential growth is it's not shocking, but at the same time, those numbers are just massive. That leads me back to you, Ariel, and talking about TikTok and that growth. How are you finding that brands can best integrate the TikTok style with the buying experience to drive conversions?
So I think that there's a couple things that, as Joe was saying, that urgency, finding ways to basically take that organic content, a lot of it through creators and also through your affiliate program, using them to build out your paid ads, if you're doing it either the sort of traditional way, or if you're using the GMV Max platform, which is essentially their answer to like Google PMax on Google. But basically what we want to do is we want to have that authentic content that's being made in platform that actually fits the visual and the feel and the style of what people expect to see on their feed already. And we want to take that and see how we can kind of maximize it. We want to make sure we're adding shopping links to it. We want to make sure that we're building organic pages, and we want to make sure that we're really hopefully utilizing that in the GMB Max format, which is where it allows you to pull in the content from live shopping events, your affiliate program, your organic, and kind of bring that all together. So what we're trying to do is kind of make sure that content's really working for you.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, optimization of the video to convert on any outlet is key. Marianne, how should brands think about optimizing videos for both YouTube search and also for direct shopping conversions?
So we really strongly recommend reverse engineering the entire process. We do a diagnostic upfront for all of our clients. And what that basically does is it tells us exactly how many people are searching for your solution and what keywords they are using. So once we have amassed that data, we took a look at a lot of other things as well. I'm simplifying here a little bit, but once we have that information, that will inform what kind of content you should be producing. So we're not guessing. We know where the searches are, we know how many searches are occurring, we know what words are being used. And then we recommend to our clients to create that content, and then we publish it on a very specific schedule that allows the algorithm to make that content discoverable to those people, because you're basically teaching the algorithm. And then of course, once you have YouTube Shop integrated, you're tagging those products and allowing that shopping to occur 24/7. Not, it's not specific to a time, it's not specific to a paid ad, it is specific to when people open up their laptops or desktops or whatever and want to answer questions about a product or a service. And sometimes it's non-branded, by the way. Where can I get the best hair growth serum? Or, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be specific to a brand. You also want to be properly optimized for non-branded terms as well.
Interesting. As we bounce back and forth here between TikTok and YouTube, John, can you give us a little context regarding the shopping landscape on YouTube versus what that massive growth that TikTok Shop has had and what's planned for the next several quarters?
I think it's a great question. And, right now, TikTok is, I would say, in the high speed lane and offering the volume of emphasis on live video on that platform is pretty astounding. I think there were just in the back to school campaign, they served 8 billion live streams. And again, it's really dialed into this influencer and creator ecosystem. We don't think that Amazon, Google, and Facebook are going to stand idly by and let TikTok just completely dominate that market. So I think you're going to see significant strategies baked across all of those ecosystems. Just like in the platform world, you're seeing Netflix licensing a lot of live content, right, as a means to drive people over the platform, but also sell advertising, right? Their NFL game inventory sold out, the Mike Tyson fight sold out, and within 7 days of Skydance buying Paramount, they went out and acquired $7 billion worth of rights of UFC content. And they're going to offer that, without a pay window. You can just go on to Paramount Plus and enjoy that content. So similar, I think a lot of these platforms just in general are going to start to bring more live programming to all of their platforms. And then same strategy. They're going to drive advertising, but also turn on shoppable experiences that can kind of convert those younger viewers. So there's I think no real downside to anybody getting into the live ecosystem, because you're going to have multiple ways to monetize. But I think you're hearing a lot of, I think the idea of reverse engineering and thinking about your product strategy, I think is critical, right? To have any success on any of these platforms, you want to test and learn and iterate back and forth and how that all works. But there clearly is, there's an attention economy that people want to capitalize on. And in my work in live video, if you can create collaborative participatory broadcasts, like don't just put up a webcam, but offer things like chat, polling, trivia, graphics, calls to action, you're going to do a couple things. You're going to really transform that viewer into a participant. And we see that leads to this kind of holy grail of, I'm going to watch a little bit longer. I'm going to invite my friends to these broadcasts. and I also have a much higher likelihood of returning to subsequent broadcasts. And the evangelism in this market is, don't just do this once. You're going to do this multiple times a week for multiple hours, and really dial into the algorithms on those platforms, and really kind of build that connection to those consumers. And we do talk certainly a lot about live, but anything we're capturing can also be repurposed into VOD clips, highlights, segments as well, and then propagated across your influencer partners as well. So there's certainly an initial phase in the live universe, but there are subsequent kind of strategies and pillars that follow along after that live content has been captured and shot.
Yep,
Yeah,
Ariel and I can take all your live content. Thank you.
You have a lot of clients that are doing a lot of, that have started with lives because TikTok started here in the UK market first, right? Because they beta tested it before they took it into the US market. And the clients that we knew that started here and really leaned into that really set the tone for their shops and their success on the platform.
Well, and there's a massive land grab going on right now within YouTube for that exact reason. When a brand gets in early and really dominates the space, I mean, you remember 15 years ago in Facebook? That's what's happening right now in YouTube.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, look, I think you see it. I see it with my kids and then some other friends' kids who are a little bit older, but like the domination of YouTube as a viewing experience, and the ability to jump around and that natural aspect of it, it's a natural space for it. But going back to what John was saying about the other big guys coming in and competing, it would be insane if Paramount and UFC did not merchandise what they're doing with that $7 billion investment, right? Just like it would be insane if ESPN and the NFL didn't merchandise off of that combination and find a way to, like, I don't know, bring fanatics in or whatever it might be to buy. And isn't gambling during sporting events, isn't that like a live shopping type of a vibe too? Like where it's like, okay, we'll go to DraftKings and bet on the next pitch, right? Same kind of general idea, right?
Yep.
Interaction with what's going on. Yeah, I do. What I always find is interesting is that we kind of thought that like live shopping was dying because of HSN and like those of us who grew up with QVC and stuff like that. So I find it so interesting that like we thought as that was tapering down there, we're seeing this massive resurgence on the social platforms for essentially the same format, just a different vehicle.
Right. And I feel like HSN and QVC are now, or they're trying to play catch up. That whole business is, everything that comes out of that business over the last 6 months is them trying to play catch up when they should have been out ahead of it.
Socials.
Right.
Yeah, I want to make one really quick comment because this isn't just a younger demos game entirely. There are now more 65 plus adults in the US on YouTube than there are in all of linear and broadcast. So I think other demographics are also catching up from what used to be kind of a young person's game or a middle, So I think that is also really changing.
A great indicator. I was actually going to ask a question about that much later, but I'm going to bring it up now. Both for YouTube and TikTok, you have this massive group of people who are used to buying off of HSN and QVC, right? And they've done it for decades. And they might be older, but they all have mobile phones. They all now can access these things on their bigger screens. Like, is that market going to see? Is that a big growth market for not just for YouTube but for TikTok as well?
What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, on TikTok we're still slightly slower, I think, on the age demographic than what we're seeing on YouTube and Facebook. It's not to say that we don't have all the full spectrum of TikTok on TikTok, but I still think we're still quite heavily under 55 on the platform. So I think that probably there's less of that transfer of knowledge, except for at the very top end.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I think that's natural because of the short format. So, younger people seem to be more aligned and comfortable with that really quick short format. And on classic YouTube, you have longer content, of course. However, shorts was absolutely the answer, the reaction to what was going on with, Reels and with TikTok. So we have that element as well.
Yeah, I would say it's a very, it's a changing landscape across all of these platforms. And, we've operated video across, we typically do based on who our clients are. We're active on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok, multiple times a month. Several of those platforms are clients of ours. If they have a complex live project, they'll source it to us. But they each, in the live world, only one of them, which is Twitch, that's their day job, and the rest of them focus on other things. So they all have their, I would say, strengths and challenges in offering video in general, but certainly live video. Historically, video performs amazing on YouTube, right? It looks better, you get much longer watch times, but it's also a little bit hard to discover something, right? So a platform like Instagram, when it goes live, you get that alert notification that says, hey, the account that you follow is live now, and that's a great way for real-time discovery. Historically, Twitter offered that as well, and that's gone through some changes as a platform in general, but they're all in a, I always tell people the internet from the live perspective was really architected for an on-demand experience, right? If you wanted to watch a movie, you went to Netflix, a TV show on Hulu, and anything on a platform like YouTube. And what they did not contemplate is devices would propagate to the market, and in one day, everybody would have multiple devices that could play video and then play live video. So the world has, you've seen, you saw the Mike Tyson fight on Netflix had some delivery challenges. There was, I think, a Love is Blind show that didn't even make it to the air. But now that platform is completely stabilized, and they can offer, NFL games on Christmas Day. So they're all going through different changes, and I think they're all trying to reach a much larger audience as well. I hear TikTok is now, there are 170 million users in the US. They're not all 13, right? There are more and more people heading to that platform to discover and work across a video experience. So it's a very fluid situation across all of them, but I think they eventually are looking to grow their demographics and attain different viewership across the board. And I think they'll realize also older viewers have great discretionary income, and there's going to be ways for them to attract them and bring them on and help them drive purchases as well.
Right, great. I'm going to head back into the questions that we've prepared. Ariel, with you, what are the most common mistakes you see brands make when launching on TikTok Shop, and any tips on how they can avoid them?
There are a few that we've seen, repeatedly across a couple of clients when they first launch. One of them that's really easy to do is mentioning any competitors. So whether that's competitor platforms or competitors within your space. So like, for example, mentioning Amazon is a big no-no because you'll actually get penalized for that. That kind of goes along the same lines of, sending traffic off platform. We do that in some occasions, but for the most part, any one of these platforms is going to reward keeping people in platform. Going back to John's comment about the attention economy, we want people to stay put as long as possible. So what we want to do is we want to make sure they're creating content that keeps them in the ecosystem. But then there's also a lot around the customer service aspect of TikTok Shop, and they're quite strict on that. They have really strict guidelines around communication response times, being able to fulfill on products. So we have clients that launch and do not anticipate how quickly they might sell out. And there's a lot in place that if you don't get products out, if you're not responding to people, if you're not tracking the products, you can very, very quickly have products removed from the shop, or you can get shut down as a seller. So the customer service is something that's really key to them. And then, of course, high return rates. If your product doesn't actually fulfill and you get a lot of returns, that's going to be problematic as well. Sort of for us, like a lot of the things that we try to steer clients into when we're trying to avoid these mistakes is just having a very clear checklist on these items, really understanding what the rules are. And every platform has them, and they're very, very good about disclosing most of those guidelines, adhering to them, and making sure that if we foresee issues, that we try and catch that and make adjustments before we end up getting penalized, because they do have a point system that can get you banned or have your account shut down if you don't abide.
Right. That makes sense. Marianne, can you share an example of a brand that's successfully driven measurable sales using YouTube Shop, and what made it work?
Absolutely. So we have a client in the beauty space, and they were, building out their organic sort of foundation, and we were able to integrate in YouTube Shop. And in the last 12 months, with really very, very low lift, we drove about $65,000 worth of incremental sales. So not necessarily a huge number for really, really big brands. For this brand, it was really significant. So the second part of the question was, what did we do to make it work? What we do ongoing is we literally track every metric. We're watching every single video. We're determining which kinds of videos are performing the best with our tagged products. And then we are rinse and repeat, right? So we do more and more of that, and we're constantly testing and looking at different kinds of content and bringing in different kinds of creative, and then continuing to build that out.
Great, great. John, when you consider engagement and sales, what elements make a YouTube live shopping event successful?
Certainly it is the notion of engaging your audience through some sort of storytelling and entertainment. Again, it can't be, hey, this product is on sale for $24, right? Or if you buy it right now, it's $19. That's not going to really drive the conversion. And we've done a couple of, I would say, massive tentpole experiences at pre-holiday shows with YouTube, where the sellers were Walmart, Verizon, and Samsung. And these were hosted by two of the biggest influencers on the platform, with multiple guests coming through in this, set with several different rooms where the broadcast would happen from. But that was an effective way, a highly produced experience, to really move those products and also introduce them to the audience. And again, I think that's certainly an inherent strength of a platform like YouTube. It's quality video. And I hear a lot about, UGC generated video. I think that's largely been the norm, but from my experience, higher quality audio, video, and lighting drives A, a bigger audience, and B, a longer watch time. And that's going to give you a higher chance to convert on a sale. And that's been through multiple decades and literally hundreds, if not thousands, of broadcasts. And I think Ariel made a great point about the verticals that are supported in e-commerce live streaming right now are definitely beauty, apparel, and home goods. And I think that market is going to expand very significantly. I think you're going to see actual consumer electronic products, wearables, headphones are going to be available and be able to purchase. And those brands like a Samsung are going to want a higher quality broadcast. So part of our work in this space is, let's design an affordable studio or a live solution that optimizes, gives you the right audio, gives you the proper microphones for your guests and your hosts. It's properly lit and is shot on the right gear and equipment. I hear a lot of conversations or a lot of concerns about, hey, the cost to do this is too high or it's expensive. The cost to execute these shows is coming down significantly. Even in the beautiful concert world that we live in, we can now deliver really optimized experiences because the equipment is more cost effective. It's also smaller. It doesn't take up a lot of space, but it allows you to deliver a beautiful experience. We can even take a cinematic lens and mount that on a prosumer camera, right? I couldn't do that 6-8 years ago. But that now allows a brand to execute their live show and then have these beautiful snippets, copies, clips, and VOD assets that they can propagate across their socials and also their influencer socials. And again, influencers are a big driver here. And I'm finding that the influencer market it's pretty significant. It's massive. It's becoming a little bit of a commodity, and finding real influencers who are experts about the product and then they're passionate about it. They're also going to be good on camera and then good in a live environment, which is not easy to do. They don't grow on trees. They're not everywhere. And I think you're starting to see the market will shift to brands also curating who these influencers are, and they're working with them really, really closely. And they're finding out in the wild, oh, this person loves my product. I want to work with them, and I want to do a much more aligned deal than just a general, hey, go make some videos for me and post them and see what you can sell, and we'll cut you a commission. So, lots to contemplate there, but I think those are some of the key points.
That makes sense. I mean, we were talking there. Do you think that the fact that the quality of influencer video has gotten so good in a lot of these cases that people their expectations are for better quality now than they maybe were 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, definitely. And I've seen the argument too that even the younger consumer who has shied away from their traditional TV subscription and gone onto platforms like Instagram and TikTok, they want television quality in their video. They actually want longer, better videos, and that's becoming a thing now. And I think marketers are starting to realize that. And who would have thought, right? You'd think, oh, they just want whatever they can watch. It's cheap, fast, and easily produced. And I certainly see this, in the if we're doing a music festival, and let's say the big headliner opts out of it for some reason, the audience will still look at people holding their phones up in a live environment, but it is not the same as 10 professional or 8 or 6 or 8 cameras around that stage, and we know where we know the set, this artist is going to do 22 songs, and they're going to bring out again, et cetera. The consumer, if you can give them a better video experience, again, they're going to watch longer, they're going to come back, they're going to invite their friends, and they're probably, I don't know what the exponential lift is on a potential conversion, but that's going to put you in a much better place to deliver a sale and also win a customer who's likely to come back and buy other products as well.
Right.
And doesn't it also build on the credibility of the brand, right? So when we associate that high quality with a credible brand or with a credible product. So I think that also is part of that, why people, not only for the entertainment, like I want to stay and look at something aesthetically pleasing, but then when I'm thinking about making a purchasing decision, it makes me feel like there's a higher value on the product if that quality is really high.
We really believe in sort of a blend. I think that some of that lower production value, iPhone shot, influencer stuff blended in with higher production value content can also be a real benefit because it just looks so credible and so real. Whereas everything's AI generated these days, and what do I believe and what do I not believe? I think that some of that lower, production value UGC stuff can also have its place and can have an impact as well.
Ariel, I'm going to head back to you for this next one. Kind of give me your perspective about the next 6 to 12 months. What features or trends should marketers be preparing for or ready to execute on with TikTok Shop in the next year or so?
So I think a couple of things that we're seeing is I think we're going to continue to see lives grow. That's like a big thing. They've been pushing it for a long time. They do help brands that are willing to spend a lot of time on lives. They help promote that content beyond just the live, and they support brands that are really doing that. So I think that's going to be a big space. We're also going to start seeing a lot more affiliate creatives in a pre-approved process. So that will be able to be pulled into the GMV max model, which means that you won't have to go back out and get usage rights from influencers to run those ads with user-generated content. I believe we're also going to see search ads come into TikTok platform because much like YouTube, it is an SEO platform. Increasingly, the younger generations are going onto TikTok to search for products and content and businesses that they want to be a part of or purchase from. So they will be rolling out search ads. And then I believe the other big piece that's being talked about, at least for us, is the Symphony. Yeah, the Symphony and Smart Plus. So the Symphony is the AI generated piece that they're looking in their editing suite, which allows you to do content creation, photo to video, and AI avatars, and so on. And of course, this all goes back to attention economy and keeping people in platform, is utilizing that full editing suite within the platform, which they will then push your content out further and so on. So I think those are a couple of things that we know are on the horizon. And as we know with all these platforms, if they put out a bell or a whistle and you actually use them, they will promote you and love you. So that's what we're probably going to be working on.
Great. Marianne, YouTube Shop obviously still evolving, and the work you're doing is kind of trending. Like it utilizes that, but it also has its own role. What are the early adopter opportunities marketers could be capitalizing on right now?
Well, I referred to this earlier. There's a massive land grab going on right now. And so it's just getting in sooner rather than later. There is a cost to doing nothing because fighting back or beating back someone who has a competitor that has already established a strong organic foundation and is grabbing a lot of those searches is much harder than getting it in the first place. So that's what I would say. That is the number one thing, is get in the game. And surprisingly, people are often shocked. It's not that expensive. As a percent of advertising, the fees in order, because you're probably already producing the content, and if you're not, there are ways to make that very inexpensive. But the optimization and the marketing fees are just usually a very small percent of ad spend. And then we know that when people see advertising in other places, they Google, YouTube, and AI search, right? And so you want to be discoverable. And we just recently had sort of a revelation. It was a wonderful thing. We saw that one of our clients was able to get the ChatGPT answer for what is the best XYZ product. And we achieved that. And the two sources were a YouTube video that we had promoted, and secondarily, a Reddit post that we had seeded. So getting into that game, I think getting into the game sooner rather than later is really smart if you have a long vision for your brand.
Yeah, well, I mean, how long is it? Like, right, you listed Google, YouTube, and AI searches. How long until that order is flipped? Right?
Oh, I don't know the answer to that question. Anybody else? I think it's happening kind of fast.
Yeah, but we're also seeing because of Meta's new exchange, right? So your posts on Meta are now visible in search. And to your point, Marianne, Reddit is an incredibly powerful piece of the AI. Yeah,
Number one high authority site, and it does not like commercialism, so you really know how to use it properly. Because if you just go in there and you blast, you're booted out.
Yeah, interesting. John, I'm going to jump over to you, and I think this question kind of comes from, like, we were talking about how, what people were used to in HSN, QVC, and what people have gotten used to maybe with influencers. How can brands use lives to create urgency and exclusivity without feeling overly sales driven?
Again, I think certainly leaning into the entertainment storytelling narrative of an experience. And I also think that your strategy can also focus on where you are geographically, right? There are studios being built just to service this market in this industry. Los Angeles has like a 40% commercial real estate vacancy. I've read that CBS Television City is now taking tenants in that provide this business. So it's not like a brand has to go build this and worry about, how do I draw, how do I run an encoder, how do I take care of cameras and so forth. Second, a lot of brands are building their own content studios or already have them, but they probably don't want to get into the world of live multi-camera work, right? That's complex, and it's why we do a lot of our own work. We can, or agencies like ours can come in and help manage when you do want to go live at those venues. And then third, I think any experience is the possibility can be amplified, and a product can be sold during that broadcast. So you look at a trade show, for instance, like CES introduces thousands of products across that week. Why not amplify that experience and allow those products to be sold or to take some pre-orders? At the very least, you're going to have some sort of an awareness that happens almost instantaneously and also happens very cost effectively. I even look at the world of music festivals. You've got artists and talent and celebrities and influencers and athletes all camped out there for multiple days. Why not even have a pavilion where brands, especially direct-to-consumer brands, can come in with their influencers, take and have space, and maybe bring in some of the talent that they've done collabs with, i.e., Rihanna has a beauty line, or so-and-so has a clothing line. All of these different moments that happen in I think in a brand's calendar are opportunities to broadcast and to amplify. And this, again, can all be done very cost effectively on any platform that you want to go on, but it's going to drive awareness. And ideally, again, live commerce broadcasts have a 30% conversion rate. So it's worth your while to A, get into this, but B, also do it with some cadence, build up a calendar and build up, your brand as a live seller in the moment as well.
Makes sense. I mean, that music festival note's well heard. I can say that just in the Boston area, we've gone from one big music festival at the start of summer to like 4 random music festivals across the summer calendar, right? And they all hit a different demo. They all hit a different group. They, you know, and there's it seems like there's so much opportunity to hit up the fans of those bands and the groups that are playing. It's really interesting. And I mean, you see the calendar of music festivals now is like crazy. So a lot of opportunities there, really interesting. John, I'm gonna go back to you with one more question. We have some great audience questions that have come in. I'm gonna go back to you with one more question before we go to those. Production and promotion best practices for brands who are new to YouTube, TikTok, or any kind of live.
Again, I would focus on the quality of your broadcast. And again, you know, I've shot massive A-list multi-platinum music star on even Samsung S23 devices, because they have the 4K in the front and the 8K feature in the back, layered into a director's cut. But again, the cameras and the equipment are at an all-time low. You've also got historical production people that aren't out actively working because production is down, I think, across the entertainment industry. Yep. These individuals can be repurposed and brought into this type of a world. So I would say those are, focus on, if you're going to get into this market, is A, first of all, do it. B, have a plan of some sort of a cadence. So doing it once is not going to drive any results of any kind that are going to be worth any value. And then, C, know who your audience is and go meet them where they are. Are they on YouTube? Are they on TikTok? Are they on Instagram? I think every brand we talk to has at least 3 that prioritize. Sometimes we'll do a broadcast if we worked with Hyundai that does an automotive reveal, and we're on 5 different platforms simultaneously, and we're also sending the stream over to Hyundai.com. But I would get into the market, try, test and learn, iterate, do it with a cadence, and also start to think about where your audience is living and also where your prospective audience is living. If you're going to go higher or lower in some sort of a demographic with a different product, understand where those people are and what they're doing, and find the right influencers. I don't think it just can be random. It's got to be somebody, again, who's passionate about the product and is also good on camera.
Great. Yeah, let's take some of these audience questions. The first one, obviously each platform has its own unique user base and content style. We've talked about that. Basically, the viewers asking for each of you to share maybe one example of a strategy that you've seen work either on TikTok or YouTube that has driven sales. So one example would be great from each of you.
I guess I can kind of jump in on what John was talking about. One of our clients, what they did, and we saw a huge amount of success with, is they actually brought influencers in-house. So they actually have them on their staff, they attend staff meetings, they manage other influencers, but they know everything about the brand, they know everything about every product, and they are the ones that do the lives on behalf of the brand. And that really converts in a way that most other clients haven't been able to, because to your point, you're not just hiring somebody else, you're actually hiring somebody who's, first of all, like quite invested in the brand, but also super knowledgeable, understands content because they're content creators themselves, and understands the marketplace. So you get such an expert on your team by bringing somebody in-house, and that's something we've seen that's worked really well.
I think I can do something a little bit different and say that we have found that a great founder story and a founder that is passionate can also do a phenomenal job telling their story, presenting the product, and achieving sales. So just another twist on it. I think there's so many options available to you, really, to be honest. You can have presenters, but, and John kept saying, and I wanted to just add something and I didn't get a chance yet, and that is that I also think that it's great when an influencer has some sales skills. If they know how to sell direct to camera in an authentic way with that passion, to me, that's the magical moment.
Example for us, an experience that we worked on was, Pharrell has a music festival called Something in the Water in Virginia Beach in his hometown, and this was a broadcast on YouTube in partnership with Walmart. And Walmart and YouTube and Pharrell were very strategic about how they would offer items. So there's actually custom merch and merch that were designed by all 3 of them, as the broadcast was happening. So you'd see, Mumford & Sons performing, and there was gear related to that artist or something relevant to the festival, or when Arcade Fire was on during the actual performance. And it was a moment where Walmart realized they could capitalize on a very engaged audience that with an experience being amplified with also terrific, the talent was, it was country artists, hip hop, pop, you name it. But it was a multi-day experience where the marketer, in this case Walmart, was able to tie products to the experience that actually meant something. And also, I'll say this, younger consumers love something tied to a cause, right? That's clearly in their DNA and their ethos. And if there's a way to do that, you're really going to get their attention, and they're going to be more supportive, I think, of the viewing experience that they're having, and also the brand and the products that are offered. And in this case, I think Pharrell had multiple causes that he had supported that were integrated into that broadcast. But I thought that was a very successful kind of early, way to bring this kind of e-commerce shopping experience strategy together in a kind of a cool moment.
That's great. That's great. Next question. When you consider streaming live, what do you think about a live on multiple channels at the same time?
So in the normal marketing world, we do that very, very frequently. We're on multiple platforms. I mentioned the Hyundai example, or other Samsung, other brands that we've worked with. That's a pretty straightforward execution. I think Ariel pointed out, if you're going to do a TikTok shop live show, it's got to be relegated to that platform, or if it's a YouTube show, relegated to that platform. Having said that, you can take a live video signal and put it anywhere, but you've got to stay within the terms of service. You don't want to get your stream turned off or shut down. And I think that's a world that's in an evolving state. And again, you've got competitive, platforms. If I'm TikTok and I'm going to drive a ton of traffic to your show, I don't want, I'm not interested in driving traffic to a competitor show. But again, the content is on the platform to begin with, so it's hard to give a very clear answer on that. But I think, again, the opening comment that Marianne made, reverse engineer. What are you going to do? What's your objective? Where's your audience, and how do you want to target them? But you can, when I talk about getting into some programmatic cadence, maybe you're going to do 6 live streams in 2 months, and 2 are on YouTube, 2 are on TikTok, and 2 are on Instagram. And you're going to, work your look at your results and tweak and Twitch, and also align with influencers that are prevalent with audiences on those platforms, and take it from there.
And then repurpose the heck out of all of it.
Definitely.
Great. Next question is about consumer privacy and data-driven personalization. So obviously social commerce personalization is a huge aspect of of the marketing. How are brands balancing the need for that personalization with consumer privacy concerns? Are there any best practices to leverage consumer data without crossing any boundaries?
Well, I think most of the data that we have access to obviously only gives us the characteristics, right? It doesn't give us the IP address. So you can, we are starting to see that technology emerge. We're not using it as much, but yes, the ACR space is definitely growing. But I think the key is, as a marketer, what we want to do is we want to use that to inform, to provide an experience for the consumer that feels appropriate. So like, I don't have a baby, so I don't want to see a Pampers ad on my feed. So we want to really make the experience unique to the person. But what we don't want is that feeling of, hey, I talked about ice cream to my husband on the couch, and now I've got an ice cream ad. So I think that there are boundaries there. But I think for the most part, when you look at most of the marketers that we work with in the marketing space, what we're looking at is segments, and we're looking at characteristics of the segment, as opposed to hyper-personalization where it's one-to-one. At least that's where we are right now.
And I would add that Google is a very closed kimono. There is not a lot to be had organically. You can clearly target through paid, but yeah, I get both sides of it. It's great as a consumer. It's very challenging as a marketer. But we do target, and of course, once they have engaged with our client, then we have more access to data. with you can append and, run matches and so forth. But yeah, it's Google is notoriously challenging that way.
Yeah, in the live world, we're just reporting on audience behavior, where they were, how big they were, et cetera. So nothing really down to customer privacy issues.
Great. We've talked a lot about influencers and user-generated content. I think the best way to ask this question is, which do you prefer, or does it vary by product?
I don't know if I understood that question. Which
well,
do you prefer?
In the live world, the higher the quality of the audio and the video, the better. Again, we have worked with certain smartphones to shoot very elegant experiences layered across, professional or prosumer gear. But also, influencers are investing. I think, we all went through the pandemic together, and I'll look at, the music business as an example. All of these artists were sequestered and couldn't go anywhere. So they're making music in their living rooms, bedrooms, and home studios. And the result is you had thousands of concert halls around the world stagnant, and they all went out and invested in some sort of video infrastructure and internet connectivity. And half the battle is your internet connection, right? If you've got a reliable signal, you shouldn't have a problem getting to a certain basic minimum threshold of quality. And again, investing in a lavalier or a shotgun microphone for your speaking and pitching and lighting. These costs have fallen to the ground. It's pretty shocking, actually. There is a way to deliver a quality experience without, hiring, James Cameron to come in and make your experience. And having said that, I think that's also a little bit of overkill. The reality for me is I see a lot of underwhelming live video on social media platforms that's largely influencer or user-generated, user-created. But also see certainly some decent quality things. I just believe that this industry is going to go beyond the three pillars of beauty, apparel, and home goods, and it's going to have much higher price, more complex items. Like someone needs to explain, a cool wearable smartwatch or headphone. I want to know about. I want to say, hey, can you turn that? I want to see it. Or does it come in blue? Or what are different, those types of questions. And a better video experience is going to get that consumer quickly through the process of understanding, oh, it actually fits exactly what I'm looking for. I want to click that button and go buy that. So again, I don't mean, blowing all kinds of money on video production, and it's frankly very hard to do that. But having a certain level of investment in lighting, audio, and video, I think is going to go a long way.
Mm-hmm. So the question was, which is our favorite? And obviously, Ariel and I have favorites, but I would say that there is a place for both without question. Whereas TikTok is a little more reactionary and shorter content and lower price point, I would say that YouTube in general tends to be the opposite of that. It tends to be longer viewers, longer time viewing, more detail, tends to be a little bit of a higher product price point. But we have found that if you have a strong organic foundation and you've reverse engineered and you know what your content is, that your content is answering the questions, you can even make lower price products work within YouTube and YouTube Shop as well.
Yeah, for me, it's both, because TikTok is kind of like we need both. I mean, I think that there's a place for both within the ecosystem, and they both serve different purposes. And when you're putting together your goal and your strategy, it's about where you place those in the strategy.
Great. All right, last one. When it comes to live, can you each give me your number one opportunity that you think brands are overlooking or underutilizing right now?
When it comes to lives specifically,
Yep.
or when it comes to
live on TikTok, live on YouTube, any live shopping, is there something that they're missing that maybe they won't be missing, say 12 months from now?
So
I think not doing it. I think staying, avoiding, getting in, at least testing and learning and experimenting and finding out how your your product resonates, and also I think brands are going to come up short if they just do this once or twice. I don't think they're going to get I think you've got to be prepared to invest in it and test and learn and iterate and go forward from there. And I think that's going to be a far more fruitful strategy than either not doing anything or just doing something on a one-off basis.
And I would add that having the strong organic foundation in the important socials for you. I think you need that in TikTok. I think you need it in Instagram, the Facebook products. I think you absolutely need it in YouTube and the Google products. So going out with a live without having something else to back it up and a place for these people to go for more information is a disaster. It's not a one-off, right?
Yeah, I mean, the same on TikTok. If you don't have your affiliate, your live, your organic, if all of that is not all churning together, you're not going to get it where it needs to be. So it's really key with whatever platform you're on that you look at all the different aspects of the platform and what they're pushing and what they're prioritizing, and make sure that you're doing a complementary suite of strategies so that you're really getting the maximum out of it.
That's great, everyone. Thank you all so much. We're going to call it quits here. We're coming up on the hour. I want to say thank you to Marianne, Ariel, John. That's how I see you on my screen. Also, thank you to Lindsay for helping prep this, even though her power went out. And I'm guessing that the heat wave in Southern California might have got her. Thank you, Lindsay, for your help. Thank you for the E-Commerce Council for bringing us today's event. If you're a PDMI member or would like to get involved, you can reach out to me directly to share your interest in any of our member councils today. Your next chance to attend a live online PDMI event is Wednesday, September 3rd, when our Take 20 series will host a group of e-commerce experts to discuss performance marketers' expectations for the 2025 holiday season. Please visit thepdmi.com/take-20 to register for the webinar and check out the upcoming schedule. And finally, online registration for PDMI West in San Diego, October 6th through 8th, is rolling along. Badges are priced at just $395 for PDMI members and $595 for non-members. For one more week, badge holders gain access to the near $200 per night discount on guest rooms in the PDMI's block at the host hotel, Intercontinental San Diego. So it's time to jump on and get in. The pdmi.com/PDMI-West is where you go to get your badge and your hotel room now. Thanks again to all of you for being here. Take care. Be well. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.